This is the world's first telephone. It has undergone a tremendous evolution. Now this is the most selling smartphone in the world. The application of it has gone from making phone calls to browsing internet, texting, taking pictures and many more. Yet, the way of interaction remains the same. There is a barrier and that barrier is us. BCI or Brain Control Interface comes to solve this problem. The concept of controlling things using our brain existed long time ago, but we were able to crack this not until recent decades. As the technology promises, a person implanted with this type of technology should be able to interact with their computer, smartphone or even an exoskeleton using the brain itself. To understand this, we have to understand how neurons work. A neuron uses chemical or electrical impulses to transmit or communicate between other neurons. For something to transmit electrical impulses, there should be a potential difference between the two ends. These ends are called dendrites. Very tiny electrodes are implanted across the brain to capture these signals. The signal that is transmitted every time you lift your left arm is same. So we can study these patterns and figure out how each function of the body works. Most of us are skeptical about the idea of planting a chip in the brain to control our smartphone. The application of this technology stretches far beyond just controlling a smartphone. For example, a person paralyzed by an accident and lost the ability to move will most probably have the neurons required to perform that motion still intact. Imagine getting the signal from that part of the brain and transmitting it to the prosthetic limb. We cannot say for sure how vast or narrow this will be, as there is no predecessors for this type of technology, but applications of this will be endless. Neuralink is not the only company working in this. This is a clip from Stanford University where a baby is implanted with BCI control so she can hear the voice of her mother for the first time. The closest firm we have ever had before Neuralink was Utah's slant array. Now we see a lady implanted with their electrodes controlling a computer cursor, which is quite remarkable. But according to Neuralink's claims, it can do much more than this. To install this interface, doctors have to make a hole in the patient's head, remove a protective layer in the brain called dura and insert the electrodes, which is a very risky process as it sounds. When you insert something from outside into your body, the body won't easily accept it. There's a potential risk of infection, bleeding, tissue damage and many more. The most crucial problem with Utah array was the material property of the electrodes, which were stiff and sharp needles. This shape helped penetrate into the parts of the brain and record brain signals, but the size of these electrodes and the stiffness can trigger our body's immune systems and cause unwanted damage to the body tissues. Its electrodes varies from 0.03 mm at the tip to 0.1 mm at its base. But Neuralink's thread-like electrodes are much thinner than 0.04 mm to 0.06 mm in width, which is nearly 5 times thinner. Thinner and flexible electrode can cover much large range of the brain without damaging brain tissues and lower the risk of triggering the immune response. Brain tissues are soft, flexible and elastic. Neuralink has made their electrodes have properties much closer to that of the brain, which is a vital material parameter to be considered and was successfully achieved by Neuralink. This prevents from scar tissue formation around the electrodes. It is made up of stacking a battery, a microprocessor on top of threads and enclosing it with a biocompatible enclosure. The recharging mechanism of the battery is placed behind the ears as opening for a port creates exposure for infection to leak in. The electrode comes attached to this interface as thin strands of wires, which are so thin even a skilled surgeon cannot operate with it. Here comes the specially developed robotic electrode inserter. It comes with a set of cameras and needles-like structures to insert the electrode into desired length, and it can do this within less over a minute. Under the monitoring of a chief surgeon, we can prevent damaging brain blood vessels. Neuralink is in the first company to create thin biocompatible polymer-covered electrode, but the development of the robot and streamlined manufacturing process has made Neuralink a viable biomedical device for consumers. Another selling factor for Neuralink is the channel count. The Utah array can reach up to a maximum of nearly 200 channels, but Neuralink's low-profile electrodes allows nearly a couple thousand. This is a prototype installed on a rat which contains 96 electrode threads with 32 electrodes. In total 3072 channels. This is a massive increase in channel count, which in result means more data, so more control. Brain is a complex organ. Some arrangement of it is still too complicated for our understanding. But a tool like this will help monitor, understand and manipulate the brain. Rather than seeing it as a tech giant trying to create cyborg humans, it is much more fascinating to think that this technology can cure diseases like Parkinson, Alzheimer and many more.